Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's good to see you again. It's time for us to talk about doing weddings. Now, weddings are very, very time-consuming and very complex for the minister to perform, and they can be very, very challenging events. And anyone who tries to tell you differently simply hasn't been involved in one, but I promise you, it's a time-consuming and complex ordeal. And before you ever agree to perform a wedding for a couple, there are some things that simply must be in place. You've got to get this done from the very beginning before you ever agree to help. The first thing you need to do is talk to your elders. You need to talk to them very carefully and learn what they will and will not permit to take place within the church building. Obviously, we're not going to have any alcohol or tobacco use within the building. They may not allow instruments of music. Even though this isn't a worship service, they may not allow instruments of music to be used in the ceremony simply for consistency purposes. You have to determine from them whether they will allow the use of the church's audiovisual equipment in performing the wedding ceremony. Will they allow the fellowship hall to be used for a reception after the wedding ceremony? Will they allow non-members to be married in the building? Will they charge a rental fee for the use of the auditorium or the classrooms or the fellowship hall? Will they charge a cleaning fee? Now, the elders aren't just being killjoys about this. They have some really serious concerns. Weddings are very, very messy, and they can be very destructive to a church building. You'll see people do amazing things. They'll park out on the lawn of the church building. They will, how do you get candle wax out of a carpet? Do you know how to do that? What about vacuuming up all the birdseed or rice that's thrown after the event? What about cleaning up all the flower debris from all that? All of that has to be addressed because the building absolutely has to be ready for Bible class and worship on Sunday morning. Weddings are almost always on a Saturday, which leaves very little time to recover before Sunday has to take place. So the first thing you want to do is talk to your elders. The second thing you need to do is make sure your own convictions in all of this are very settled and firm. Get this in order first. Don't wait for the situation to arise. Will you marry divorced people? It's a question worth answering. Will you marry people who are simply living together now and are not married? Will you marry non-members of the congregation? Will you marry people who are not even Christians? Will you insist on premarital counseling? Will you even try to do that premarital counseling yourself? These are serious questions that have to be answered. And there's one, I'm sorry it sounds crass, but let's just talk about money for a moment. Will you charge a fee for performing a wedding ceremony? Or will you rely on an honorarium, a voluntary gift given to you later? That may or may not come. Remember, the rehearsal will take place on a Friday evening almost certainly. The wedding will take up almost all of Saturday. I don't care what time of the day it is. If it's morning or afternoon or even an evening wedding, it's going to burn up almost the entire Saturday. That's going to influence what happens with your family as well. You need to treat them well. Their schedule is just as disrupted as yours is. Let me say a word about legalities in all of this. It's your responsibility to make sure that the legalities are addressed. How do you register with the state to be able to perform wedding ceremonies? How do you complete the marriage license? Who is responsible for filing the completed license? Is it you or is it someone else? What other requirements might a state insist upon? When I was preaching in Michigan, for example, I was required to keep a separate logbook of all of the wedding ceremonies that I performed. All of these things have to be in place before you ever agree to perform the ceremony. The ceremony itself is big, but all of these things have to be in place before you even get there. The ceremony, now, concerning the ceremony itself, it's good for you to remember that this is not actually a worship service. And it should not mimic worship either. I have been asked at times to include, for example, a communion service within a wedding ceremony. I'm not going to do that. We take the Lord's Supper on the first day of the week, not the sixth. And so I don't think that that's appropriate at all, and I wouldn't do it. I do think it is right and proper to include prayer, to include scripture reading, and also to invoke God's blessing on this couple. This should be a solemn and serious commitment moment for them. And I would urge you not to stray too far from tradition in these things. Is it okay to do an outdoor wedding? Sure. There are good opportunities to do that at various times. Could you even take that to the beach? Sure, you could do an outdoor wedding on a beach. Should people be wearing swimsuits during the wedding? Probably not. I think that that's a step too far. Try to stay within tradition if you can. Also, I would say, schedule and absolutely insist on a ceremony rehearsal the day or 2 days before the event itself, and make sure that all of the expected participants are going to be there. All of the groomsmen, all the bridesmaids, flower girl, ring bearer, photographer, musicians if involved. Anybody who's going to participate in the ceremony needs to be there so that they will know when, where, and how to get done what they're going to get done. You need to be clear with them about your photo and video policy. Will they be allowed to join you up front to take photographs and whatever? Just be clear about what you will and will not permit there. You need to be clear about what rooms they will be allowed to use to dress and prepare in. And you need to be very clear also about responsible building use. For example, just because they're using a classroom to change clothes, prepare flowers, and so on, that doesn't give them the right to tear down class decorations. They're not allowed to do that. So be clear about what they can do and what they can't do. If there's a fee involved, this is a time for you to collect that fee. If there's a rental fee for the building or the fellowship hall or a cleaning fee or whatever, this is the time to collect it. It's also absolutely imperative that you personally see the marriage license in order to execute it. Make sure they bring that on the day of the rehearsal. If there's not a marriage license, you cannot perform the wedding ceremony, and it needs to be very clear with them. No license, no ceremony. They will not be fined for doing that. You will be, and you don't want to take that kind of responsibility, and you don't want to be liable for that. When it comes to actually crafting the ceremony itself, just study some traditional wedding ceremonies and work from them. Remember, this is not a sermon. Nobody wants a sermon during a wedding, okay? It's not a sermon. You want to celebrate the couple. You want to represent the Lord well. You want to represent the congregation well. And you personally want to fade out in this. You are not the center of attention. And within propriety, by all means, accommodate the couple's wishes if you can. And remember, they really are the stars of the show. And we, performing the ceremony, are not. It's always about them. One final thing I want to mention about wedding ceremonies. These are times of high stress for all of the participants. There's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of expense, there's a lot of detail to look after, and sometimes emotions can run pretty high, and you will see some surprising outbursts of emotion from time to time. Here's a hint for you. Number one, do not try to referee family fights. It's not your responsibility to do that, so don't do that. The second thing I would say is, don't take it too seriously. This is a result of high stress, and within a day or two, things will have calmed down, and people will be sorry, perhaps, for some of the things that they've said and done. Don't take it seriously. Everything is going to be just fine. Doing a wedding really is a part of your ministry, and it becomes very important because all of ministry matters. You know what I'm talking about. Have a good time, and God bless you. And as always, friends, like, subscribe, and share because ministry matters. And God bless you.